Alright, today we're going to be learning about composite figures. You are going to need this paper, the one you got yesterday. And I went ahead and put another star reference chart on your notes. Okay, so a composite figure. If you've ever drawn a snow cone or you've drawn a house, you've drew a composite figure. That just means it is made up of simple geometric shapes. So I want you to put on that blank composite figure. Okay. So it's made up of triangles, squares, rectangles, circles, everything like that. If I look at this snow cone, the top is half of a circle and then the bottom is a triangle. That's a composite figure. It's two shapes put together. Okay. This house has a triangle on top and a square on bottom. It's a composite figure. It's two shapes to make one figure. Okay. So what we did yesterday was we found the area of different shapes, but now we're going to put that together. So example 1 says a semicircle and a rectangle were used to create the figure shown. So if I look at this, it tells me that it's made up of a semicircle and a rectangle. Okay, right here is my semicircle and on the bottom is the rectangle. Okay. So we have to find the area closest to the area of the figure. Okay. So this is real easy. This is how we're going to separate it. I don't want you to use this right here. What I want you to do is I want you to write out your shapes. We're going to put semicircle. We're going to put a line down the middle, and we're going to write rectangle. That's all the shapes this figure is made up of. Okay. The second thing I want you to do is to write your formulas. So I have a semicircle. So I'm going to look up here, or I'm going to use this paper right here, and I'm going to see what is the formula for area of a circle. A equals pi times r times r. But because it's a semicircle, it's half of a circle, I'm going to divide the whole thing by 2. Okay. Now I'm going to find the formula for a rectangle. I'm going to come back over here to this paper. It says A is equal to LW. So A is equal to LW. Okay. Now that I got my formulas, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my numbers. So I'm going to come over here and see what they gave me. I got to find my radius and my diameter for this semicircle. The line goes all the way across it. It's telling me it's 8. So I know that the diameter, the line goes all the way across. So 8 centimeters is my diameter. If I want to find my radius, I know that it is half of the diameter. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 centimeters. But I'm going to use the R for this formula, so I'm going to go ahead and circle that. Okay. So I'm going to put A equals pi. I know I used the number 3. R is 4. And 4 again. Divide the whole thing by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the top part. So 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 times 4 is 48. 48 divided by 2. So what is half of 48? That's 24. Okay. Now I'm going to do the rectangle. I'm going to finish it. So I need to plug in my numbers. So the rectangle is right here in green. So the length is going to be 8 and the width is going to be 10. So I just need to multiply those two numbers, 8 times 10, which gives me 80. Do not forget to put your measurement. Okay. Now that I've finished both of the shapes area, now I'm going to combine those. I'm going to add them together. So 80 plus 24 is 410. So I'm going to look at the answers. Which one is closest to 104? It's going to be A. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and write the steps of what I did, and we're going to turn it over on the back. The first step was to identify the shapes. Okay. Identify shapes. I first went through this and saw that I only have a semicircle and a rectangle. The second thing I did was I wrote my formulas. I went to this piece of paper and I saw what was the formulas for a semicircle and a rectangle. So put write formulas. The third thing that I did was I plugged in numbers and I solved for area. So after I found both of my areas, I did step 4. I added all area. Okay. So you got 4 steps here. So let's go ahead and turn it over on the back. Okay, example 2 says a triangle, a rectangle were used to create the figure below. So it's telling me what is this figure made up of. It's made up of a triangle and a rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and do step 1. Step 1 was to identify my shapes. So the first, let's go ahead and separate. I got a triangle and a rectangle. That's step 1. Step 2 was to write my formulas. So I'm going to come to this paper right here. I'm going to see that the triangle, the formula is A is equal to BH over 2. BH over 2. Then I'm going to go back to the paper and see that a rectangle is A is equal to LW. Now I'm going to do step 3. Step 3, I'm going to plug in my numbers. So let's go ahead and look over here. I'm going to start with the triangle. The triangle is right here. Okay. A equals to my base. The base is on the bottom. But look, this 10 is talking about the whole bottom. Do I need all of the bottom? No. My triangle is only going up to here. But I do know that this is going to be the same as this. This is 6 inches. Okay, that means that this 5 is going to be the same. So I'm just plugging in numbers. This is going to help you. Okay. If I know that this side right here is 6 inches, and I know the whole bottom line makes up 10, how am I going to solve for this base of the triangle? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to subtract 10 minus 6. That's going to give me 4 inches. Okay. So if you look, if I add these two together, 4 plus 6 is going to give me 10. And yes, that's correct, because it tells me that the whole bottom, the base of this figure is 10 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish plugging in our numbers. We know that now the base of the triangle is 4. So I'm going to plug in 4, put my parentheses. The height, remember it's going up and down, is 5. I'm going to put over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and solve. 4 times 5 is 20. Divided by 2, it's going to give me 10. So my area for this side is 10 inches squared. Now I'm going to finish my rectangle side. I just need the length and the width. The length, I'm going to plug in 6, and the width is going to be 5. So now I'm going to solve. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 inches squared. Okay, now I'm going to move on to step 4. Step 4 is to add all the areas. So 30 plus 10 is going to give me 40 inches squared. So what answer choice is that? It's going to be D. Okay, now we're going to move on to the last one. Now this is what you might see on the STAR test. They're going to give you a whole bunch of shapes, and they expect you to find the area of all of the whole figure. Okay, but luckily we have this paper, so we have all of our formulas, and my question is going to tell me what shapes are in this figure. Okay, so it says a sidewalk in the shape of 2 triangles, a rectangle, and a square was built around the edge of the building. Okay, what is the area of the sidewalk? So I'm going to go ahead and do the first step. I got to identify all of the shapes. So it tells me I have 2 triangles, so I'm going to go ahead and write triangles, and I'm going to write times 2, because by the end of this I'm going to have to multiply times 2 because there's 2 triangles. Okay, the next one is going to be a rectangle, and the last one is a square. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start filling in numbers here because it looks pretty empty. I know that a square, if one side is 6, that means that all the sides are going to be the same. So all of these are 6. Okay, what else do I need? No, that's pretty much it. Alright, if I figure out one triangle, I know that the other triangle is going to be the exact same. That's why I'm not putting numbers on this side. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we did step 1. Step 1 was to identify all the shapes. Step 2 is going to be to write my formulas. The triangle, the formula is A is equal to BH over 2. BH over 2. Okay, the rectangle, I know that the formula is A equals to length times width. And the last one is a square. The formula is A equals to S squared. Okay, so I'm going to do step 3, and I'm going to plug in my numbers. A equals to BH. My base for this triangle right here is going to be 6, and my height is 6 over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and solve. 6 times 6 is 36. Divide that by 2. It's going to give me 18 feet squared. Okay. Now I'm going to start step 3 on the rectangle. My length times width. I got my length is going to be 18. My width is 6. So looking right here, guys. Length and width. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply those 2 numbers. I got to write it out. So 8 times 6 is 48. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 10 is 4 is 10. So 108 feet squared. Okay, now I'm going to do the last one. Remember, S squared just means S times S. That's all it means. So I know my side is 6, so I just have to do 6 times 6. That's going to give me 36. Okay, 36 feet squared. Now, I finished with step 3. I found all of my areas. Now I'm going to do step 4. Step 4 is going to be to add all of the areas. Okay, so I'm going to let you finish this part, and you're going to raise your hand when you're done so the teacher can come by and check. So remember, triangle has 2 shapes, so I'm going to have to put 18 twice. Plus 18, and then I'm going to have to add my rectangle and my square. Okay, make sure that you add those 2 numbers. You add everything up, and you will get your answer. Okay, don't forget to write your measurements. Whatever you get after you total, it's going to be feet square.